Hey lads, we're live. Welcome to your first ever live podcast. You know what happens, don't you? It happens on live shows, don't you? Everything goes wrong.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my phone to drop.
Phone will fall over.
Can't edit out offensive things that people might say.
Well, the really good thing with this is that it gives people opportunity just to get ready answers straight back from you. So currently we've got nobody watching, but you know it's early doors, so they'll join us at some point, I'm sure. Yeah,
I'm going to bosh on my Twitter right now.
Yeah, get it boshed on your Twitter.
Me being an influencer.
So then, lads, how's things? How's life in general? Not Terrace life, just life.
Busy, tired.
All right, yeah.
It's all right. It's doing all right. Paul's had a meltdown the last couple of weeks. He's been doing the accounts, so we've just kind of left him alone.
To be honest, I'm actually pretty exhausted. I was thinking this afternoon at like 2:00. I was like, I just want to turn my computer off.
Yeah, so we've kind of left Paul alone a little bit, just let him crack on, and me, Craig, Rob have just been at the office, kind of keeping busy, getting orders out. It's kind of, we've hit that point now where, you know, we were absolutely floored in the lead up to Father's Day. Yeah. So we got that kind of last week up to Father's Day. We were running extra hours. We were getting everything out the door, and then Father's Day hits, and suddenly it kind of goes and drops again. I mean, it doesn't drop to nothing. It's still busy, but it's kind of, that's a good thing, because like the last week, it's given us a lot of time to what's the word? Like kind of test press new products and actually put time into new products rather than trying to play catch up all the time. So we've been pressing new products today. We did test presses on socks and launched the socks today. So yeah, it's been quite a fun week, to be honest, this week, because it's not been so manic. Everyone's not been running around at 100 mile an hour, and we've actually had time to kind of sit and discuss as a team kind of new products and test press new products and order blanks in to try them out. And it's been quite a nice week, whilst Paul's just been kind of crying to himself doing accounts and
every time
keeping up with it.
I do it every time though. I think I did something like, I don't know if it was like 50 hours or something in like 4 days. But it's like every time I'm like, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to do an hour every single day, and then everything will be like up to date. And then it's just, yeah. I mean, it's one of them. It's a good, I can't complain, but it's just my own. It's just me basically. But yeah, it's been busy. But I think as well, like with the lead up to like Father's Day, there was just no time to actually do anything other than make sure orders were out of the door and make sure that we got as much done as possible. And obviously just it's a knock-on of all that, like with the increase in orders going out, you get a lot more emails, so there's a lot more time of that. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but it's almost like Christmas. You kind of get up to the peak, and then you finally get a chance to kind of breathe a little bit and try to be like, right, okay, now we're on to the next thing.
Yeah, I think with Father's Day as well, it's like it's a weird one, because, like, you know, we covered our website in cut-off dates. So it's like, if you want this product delivered by Father's Day, you got to order by this day. So like mugs, I think was, I can't remember what date it was. Was it the 14th? The 14th. And then on the 15th and the 16th, you look in the order system and you can see new orders for specific Father's Day mugs and mugs with Dad 1 on and stuff. And like, we don't want to be one of them companies all the time that are like, yeah, well, you missed the cutoff dates. That's your problem. Like, we can evidently see that there's order after the cutoff date that is for someone's dad. So most companies will be able to kind of hit that cutoff date and then just kind of go, well, whatever doesn't go out, doesn't go out. It's not our problem. But, you know, props to Craig, Rob, everyone really. Like, you know, whilst the cutoff was the 14th, I think the 15th, the 16th, the 17th, we were still kind of like trawling through the store looking for all these orders with Dad 1 written on it, and then upgrading the postage ourselves to, you know, next day Royal Mail, just to make sure they got it in time. And, you know, we don't have to do that, but it's, I think one of the reasons we sometimes stand out as a brand and stuff is like we pay attention to those little details. So, you know, we went into Father's Day going, right, on the 14th, that's our cut off, and that's when we'll get that breathing space. But inevitably that didn't happen. Then once Father's Day ticked over, that's where our breathing space has come in for what I would say is breathing space now is probably a couple of months until football season restarts again. during the summer period. But normally we quieten down during the summer periods because football fans are going on holiday. It's summer holidays, and but that's potentially not the case this year. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, this is your first ever live podcast, and we've got a couple of comments starting to just trickle in. So if you are watching and you've got any questions for the lads, as long as they're sensible, we'll ask them where we can. So the first one is not really a question; it's just Rob Dealey saying, "Hello, boys." So that's very, very pleasant start. Yeah. So hello. Is that Terrace Rob by any chance?
That's Terrace Rob.
Yeah, I thought as much.
He's probably about 10 meters away from Carl on the other side.
He actually lives next door to me.
All right, sounded a bit brain up wall in a bit.
He's literally at the wall right now with a cup.
Yeah, glass like that,
yeah, 100%.
Last time we got together, we talked about you were about to launch a new deal, and it was with Preston. And the next question that's come
Rob
up
has literally just knocked the wall.
Yes, interactive podcast. That's why we're here.
Amazing.
So the first question really is from Chris Collins, and he says, "When will we see a Preston retro kit?"
That's got to be PNE, Chris, hasn't it?
I think, yeah. So Preston retro kits is
oh dear.
So obviously the Preston deal took quite a long time to get over the line, with different entities involved, with their retail rights being owned by Just Sport Group. And, we had a conversation with Just Sport Group, got that deal over the line. And it took a long time to get to that point. And, that's not in a negative way. Those kind of things, when there's more people and there's more business elements to take into consideration, do take a while to get over the line. So we launched the Preston license with our typical products of mugs, towels, phone cases, and so on. And we are discussing retro kits. It's one of them things that's being discussed. That's kind of really all I can say at the moment. I can't say that it's definitely coming soon. I can't. We've sampled a shirt. The Preston fans have seen that. So we're just discussing it at the moment because Just Sport, rightly so, have their own plans. They have to look at a bigger picture. They have a long-term deal with the club, and we can't just come bowling in and being like, right, we're doing retro shirts now. It's like what our customers, what we call supporters, we try to get across to is like, we're not always in the driving seat. As soon as we license with a club, we have to respect their bigger picture. And that's not just if it's with an external kind of company like Just Sport Group. It's even with a club's retail department. I'm working daily with retail departments at clubs that we're licensed with, and they're already discussing with me their plans for next summer, for the end of next season, for 3 years' time. They have like kind of timelines of when they're doing stuff, so we have to kind of slot into that a little bit, and we have to kind of put new ideas on the table and discuss we have to ensure that anything we do doesn't affect something that they do at the end of the day, because ultimately we're a licensee. We're not the club. We're not the club's retail department. So we have to kind of fit around them, what their plans are, and not kind of rock the boat with any of their plans. And put, when they've got plans, there's so many people behind it. It's not just a retail department. You've got marketing involved, the commercial department, even down to the players, the club. There's so many people involved, and we can't go rocking boats. So Preston retro kits has been discussed a couple of times. It's not off the radar. We'll see what happens.
Cool. It is indeed PNE, Chris, as we thought. Other comments coming in. Then K Dobbo calls me a podcast slag, which is very nice of her. She's basically only here to see Paul's dog.
Where the door's shut, and I can hear him outside the door.
Has he got his comedy tongue in?
Just hang on 1 sec. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him because he's there, and he'll be. He's not shy.
So again, if anybody wants, any other requests, I don't know, like,
I don't have a dog.
Do some press ups or something, just like bob it in, and we'll try and make it happen if we possibly
definitely
can.
Watching Paul do press ups.
Next question then, it's from another Craig Towell. When can the workhorse of the company, Terrace Craig, expect a pay increase as he needs more Lego?
For anyone that doesn't know about the Lego comment, Craig's obsessed with Lego, so. He spends ridiculous amounts of his wages on Lego. But because of that, he now expects us to fund his Lego habit.
Unfortunately, he's the dog is otherwise engaged sunbathing in the garden. So,
sound.
Sorry.
The thing is, I suppose Craig having a Lego addiction is much better than, like, I don't know, maybe crystal meth or something like that. So
100%. Like, we'd definitely rather him have a Lego addiction. We actually bought him from the company the Statue of Liberty for his birthday. So
that's pretty impressive.
It's a tax deductible.
From the taxman who is obviously watching.
Yeah,
we'll discuss Craig's pay rise when we discuss the amount of free stuff he takes home.
Right, cool. Craig is also saying I need to go down and meet him soon. He's got a fish finger sandwich with my name on it.
He is itching.
Yeah. I am going to make the pilgrimage from the Democratic Republic of Barnsleyshire down to Bunbury at some point. It's just whenever I have days off work, my wife suddenly decides that I have stuff to do.
So that's understandable.
Yeah, I've
Christmas party. Christmas
things. Yeah, well, Christmas life might be a little bit more normal, maybe.
Yeah.
That kind of segues me on lovely before we get some more comments about these bad boys. So the Terrace face masks. Give us a bit of feedback about the Terrace face masks then, because they've gone down like a house on fire, I think is the phrase.
Yeah, they went down really well. Like we've now started to see the feed. Obviously, last time we spoke, we were in the process of giving them away. We hadn't actually received them yet. Like they're on order, they're all pre-ordered. And yeah, for I think a 7-day period, we just had boxes and boxes of face masks arriving at the office, which then Paul, Craig, Rob all sat just constantly packing up, shipping out on a daily basis. And I think Paul will say as well, it's been the kind of last 7 to 10 days we've now started seeing the feedback from it, because people are starting to use them back at work. People are starting to use them on public transport, and yeah, it's nice to see. Like we did it with those good intentions at heart, and it's now we're starting to get all these photos of people saying thank you. You know, I'm using it at work and so on, and it's just nice to see. It's and the trouble is, it's now knocked on to when are you getting more? When are you getting more? When are you doing one for Leeds? When are you doing one for Sheffield Wednesday? It's ruined our customer service inbox a little bit. But
I had to set up a template that just literally was like a 2-clicker because I was just typing about.
Honestly, it's the amount of emails that are coming in saying when are you making more face masks. We're flattered by it, but it's one of them things where we could sell them and we can. I'm just, like I said before, I'm just still not comfortable making profit off of them. So it's one of them things where we might release another 1,000, another 2,000, but the turnaround time at the moment is quite high because so many places are ordering them naturally, because obviously every supplier that makes them, they take orders from all over Europe. So you've got all over Europe that are kind of introducing new legislations of, right, you've now got to wear face masks on transport, you've now got to wear it at work, you've now got to wear it at the shop. So the orders are just flocking in from companies, from clubs, from sports companies. And
we kind of got lucky, really, didn't we? Because when we ordered, we were
right at the start. We kind of went ahead with it. Yeah.
What was the time frame? Like a month? Now it's probably
it was like 2 to 3 weeks before, and now we're on like a 4 to 5 week turnaround. And the thing that worries me is that I don't want to go and order another 2,000 face masks, and in 5 weeks' time, no one really cares about them anymore, or the legislation's changed again. And it's one of those products where I like to do it to help people. That's what we're about. But at the same time, I don't want 2,000 of them sat at the office because they're not cheap. So it's one of those things. But it's been great. The feedback's been amazing, and we're so stoked that we've been able to help people. We did the Plymouth ones as well, the Barnsley ones. They all went down really well. The Plymouth ones were just phenomenal. Like, we literally get so many emails a day with people asking for them. So there might be a reorder of those in conjunction with the club to sell at the club rather than through us. And we'll keep people updated with that as well.
Yeah, a couple more comments starting to come in then. Chris Collins is back, P&E Chris. He says, spotted your Oasis mug this morning. Got to say, it's class.
Oasis mug?
Yeah. Well, I'm perplexed with that one. Oasis mug.
What?
Don't know.
I think that was me.
Chris, give us more. Give us more content. Give us more content. Sam Bishop's
been looking.
I don't know.
Sam Bishop.
Ipswich Town fan. Carl, stop using the Terrace Instagram page to like your personal picture on Instagram. We know you control both.
Can I just say?
You have to. I like Paul and mine. It's,
I have to say.
It gives Paul a little boost. It gives me a little boost. It's because me and Paul aren't very popular, really.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, like, no, to be fair.
No one really cares about us.
How many followers you got?
Carl,
how many followers you got?
Come on, let's have a follower off. How many you got, Carl?
What, on Instagram?
Yeah, well, let's start with Twitter first.
I have no idea. Twitter, I've got like 400 followers.
I think I've got 1,000 on Instagram, most of which I don't know. And I've probably got not very many on Twitter. 304.
Oh, so I'm winning Twitter.
And 304, so I've got 300 Leeds fans following me, and 4, and then Craig, Carl, Rob. And Gary's a Leeds fan, so he comes in.
I'm a Leeds fan, so I fall into that category. Yeah.
Ooh,
cool. Yeah, it's one of them things, isn't it, with social media? Like, how do you grow your Instagram? Because I must not be very interesting, because my Instagram sat at a very puny figure for quite some time.
Do you know what my problem is? I think I'm anti-social.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's a big thing for me as well. But all I do is post pictures of trainers and food and me in Georgia. And if you don't know Georgia, you're going to find half of my Instagram really boring.
I don't really do anything that revolves around anything remotely exciting. So
that's another thing. I mean, if I had to post an Instagram update every day of like what I'm up to on my feed, it'd just be even like my Xbox controller or the mug press.
Well,
that's pretty much life.
That segues me along perfectly to a question that I want to ask. So that question's from me. So when you guys are not printing mugs and taking over the retro kit culture world, what do you do to chill out? It's a really good topic. So basically I won't speak on behalf of both of us, but I'm pretty sure it relates to Paul as well. Like, we've run this business for like 3 years, and I find it really, really hard to switch off. Like, really hard to switch off. I wake up it's the same now. Last night I woke up at 2 and 5, and I constantly wake up thinking, did I send that email? Oh, I don't know what wakes me up, but it's just so hard to switch off. And I had a day off earlier this week, and Craig was like, don't check your emails. I'm not going to ring you. You need it out for you. And that was my 3rd day off this year. But we struggle to switch off, and that's not a case of because of what we do or anything. It's just a case of when you run a business, you have to think of everything. And I don't think either of us before this had been in that position. We kind of had jobs where we could clock off in the evenings and stuff. And I think it was about 6 months ago we picked up the Xbox controllers and started playing Call of Duty. And suddenly, out of nowhere, both of us had just found a way to stop thinking about work for like 2 to 3 hours in the evening.
Yeah.
It's probably a deep thing to say, but doing that, it sounds so stupid, just playing Xbox in the evening, that proper saved me mental health wise, because literally I did not switch off. Ever.
Do you know what I think it is?
Ringing Paul at 8 at night, 9 at night, 10 at night with ideas and discussing the business. Me and Paul used to just sit on the phone for like 4-hour phone conversations in the evenings. Like,
in
silence. Just never switched off. In silence half the time while we were working.
Do you know what it is though? I'll say this, and a lot of people like talk about it that way, but because we both come from a music industry background, the music industry is effectively like 24 hours a day, because you used to have the thing where like I would get up in the morning and I'd deal with a bunch of emails from people in the UK and mainland Europe, and then at 3 or 4 in the afternoon America switches on, and you find yourself taking conference calls at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and it's almost you get into a rut where like you have this thing because your email's on your phone, you get an email at 8 o'clock at night and you just reply to it. It's like a natural thing.
I treat emails like text messages.
Yeah. It's a natural thing, but the problem is you get into the thing where you're just doing it and doing it and doing it. And then what kind of came along and was even harder for us, I guess, is that because we were both still working full-time jobs whilst running the Terrace, we're doing all of that stuff during the day. And then we're used to working until 10, 11, midnight, 1 in the morning if we have to get those things done. And it's very hard to try and get into a structure. So like, yeah, like we we kind of found like, yeah, let's just play Call of Duty or whatever, because we're playing sort of video games, but we're playing video games whereby you have to focus and you spend a lot of time I mean, you play Warzone and stuff, Gary. Like, you spend a lot of time strategizing. Yeah, you spend a lot of time strategizing. But because you spend so much time thinking about what the things you're doing, you're not thinking about work. And I mean, I've even kind of got to the point now where it's like at the weekend, I try and get everything done by Friday so that at least for one day on the weekend, it's never possible to completely switch off, but not sitting at a computer if you can avoid it, or, you know, doing those things. I mean, we get drawn into it now and again. I mean, last weekend I worked the whole weekend because I had to, but, you know, it's like you know, Craig was at the office one day on a Sunday evening and Carl was there on a Saturday afternoon. And it's like, you know, sometimes you have to, but it's to try and sort of do other things. I mean, we probably, even when we used to take time off or days off, we'd still be calling each other and those kind of things. And now we're
I'll tell you something to put that into perspective. I did the deal with Huddersfield whilst watching my daughter on the Caterpillar ride at Disneyland Paris. Like, that's how much you don't switch off.
But do you remember you ringing? You like would call Craig and you call me in the evening or late afternoon, and you'd be like, "Yeah, the girls are off doing something, so I just thought I'd catch up." And it's like, mate, you're on holiday. But you do. But the thing is, it's like next week. I'm off for 3 days at the end of next week, and it's like, yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Check the calendar. But for those 3 days, there's 2 tasks that I physically cannot give to anybody else. So those things are just things that I know I have to do. So it's there and it's fine, and it's not an issue or whatever, but it's nice here and there to just kind of try to get away. And because, to be honest, I think one of the things that you get is, and it's a thing that's so prevalent for people who work in like the higher echelons of the music industry, it's like you get burnout, like, and it happens really quick because you're working the whole day and you're going to concerts all night and you're getting home at 1 o'clock in the morning and you're getting up again at 6 or 7 and you're just constantly at it. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's just because we're getting older. I think you start to think that it's not good for your health.
And you still do get it. It's like, you know, I tweeted about it kind of, I think it was the day after Father's Day or the Friday before Father's Day. I tweeted about it. I was physically burnt out, but I was past the point of sleeping. I was exhausted. I had migraines every day and I just couldn't sleep. Yeah. But it's, you know, that's my own fault. And it's just finding ways to switch off and to not think about work. And yeah, so back to the important part of the topic is me and Paul play Xbox pretty much every night.
PlayStation, I don't play Xbox.
And we won Warzone the other night, and it took us 3 months to get there. So yeah, we're kind of a big deal now, Gary. Like,
yeah. If your clan or whatever, we'll have to pass an audition.
Possibly.
Yeah, so on FaceTime.
Basically, we have. Okay. So going back like ages, the company I used to work for, there's 2 guys I'm really, really good friends with, and we used to play Battlefield way back in the day. They obviously now play Call of Duty, and Carl knew one of them anyway for a bit of work in the past, and we kind of got together one day playing, and now we have like a WhatsApp group. I think there's probably like 6 of us, and it's kind of it sounds so childish, but like every day it's basically like, who's online tonight? And then we're like, yeah, 7 o'clock. Yeah, cool. And then we just literally all squad up and go completely crazy. But it has sort of been a really positive thing for me because I mean, I don't watch TV, so it's quite easy to just lose yourself. And then next thing you know, it's bedtime. So basically, every night of the week, we just play Call of Duty.
Yeah, it's like, I can relate, obviously not from a business owner's point of view, but like, starting Monday, I've got 12 new babies at work. So 12 new, shiny, brand new fire service recruits who I'm kind of in charge of for 8 weeks. And like, even my days
going to B&Q for a tin of red and white striped paint?
Absolutely none of them.
No.
Yeah.
Who's putting vegetable oil down the fire?
Listen, we've had them all, but not particularly from fire service times. We've had some other ones. Anyway, and like, I know for a fact when days off, I'll be ringing the other guys at work saying, have they got on today? Any issues? Blah, 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 blah. Like, checking emails and stuff, because you're invested. You're invested.
You're invested, but it also shows how passionate you are about your job and how much you believe in what you're doing. I think it actually is a positive, but it just has negative effects.
Yeah, definitely. On gaming though, I've fallen into Last of Us rabbit hole. The game.
Get into that. I've got it, but I've just not fallen into it.
Right. Next time Carl comes at you for Warzone, fuck him off. Shut the curtains, turn off the lights, put Last of Us on, stick with it. It's mega. I'm on Last of Us 2 at the minute. Even to the point now, my missus comes down because she's been on nights, God bless her, and she comes down and says, "What's happening? What's happening with story?" As she got back there, like my missus is even investing in it too, so it's pretty impressive.
Man's usually just wondering why I'm screaming and shouting. Apparently, I don't know if it was last week or the week before. During the night, I was talking in my sleep about Warzone, something to do with the gas and the circle and a sniper being in a bush. And she's literally like, "Yeah, what were you dreaming about last night? Because you were talking about I think you shouted sniper on the ridge or something." I'm just like,
either that or all them toes back in Nam. Done it. Yeah.
It's quite intense.
So talking about obviously your guys' workload, I think you've took on some new members of staff to the Terrace family. Who have you took on, and what great help have they been?
Yeah, so we've taken Rob on, which we discussed in the last episode. He's now full-time. He's settling in really well. Trained by Craig, trained by the best. So he's flourishing, and kind of Craig was off on a day off today, so Rob kind of took over pressing the mugs and everything and did great. And we've actually just hired my mum, weirdly, of all people.
Cool.
So it's basically, my mum's given us so much support since we started this brand, and she's always followed the journey, and she wanted a bit of a change. And so looking at her skills and what she's good at, it kind of fell naturally to offer her positions kind of head our customer relations kind of section, so she'll be able to deal with the customers, which at the moment is being handled by Paul. So that will free up Paul's time to be able to kind of do more accounting. And then
that'll be the next hire, I think.
So she starts in October. So we've got a kind of couple of months build up to that yet, where Paul will be doing some training, and we'll be doing stuff to get her ready for the role. And it's kind of it's kind of an exciting time, because I don't think either of us planned that we'd be hiring so much this year. I mean, it's only a couple of people. Craig started in January, Rob this last month, and my mum in October. I mean, there's kind of not just the employees. We also have outside helpers as such that freelance for us. So we've got Richard at Ginger Agency, who does all of our marketing. Well, I say marketing is kind of like paid advertising. They do a lot of they look after our Instagram and Facebook regarding social posts to keep traffic and to keep attention high on the socials. And they've done absolute wonders for us regarding kind of making sure we're targeting adverts to the correct fans. Then we've also got Sam, our developer. He's working absolute wonders behind the scenes to keep constantly updating the website, making all the cogs kind of turn and everything tick into place.
He's my favorite guy. you know those people where like this is like a thing that's key for me as well. Like I've spent like a lot of time thinking about like processes and ways that we do things, and I'm always like, right, so we've got this currently, and I want to get to here, and I'll just ring him up and be like, Sam, how do we do this? Can we do this? And Carl's the same with the website. We're like, yeah, Sam, we need to do this, and he's like, yeah, no worries, I'll take care of it. And like, it's been really good to sort of have somebody there who, he himself obviously has a very skilled background, and he's now sort of at the point where he's started his own business, and he's sort of now working for himself and doing those things. And it's been really good that sort of he's kind of grown with us as well. So it's been really good that we can just pick the phone up and call him, and things are fixed if they're broken, and we get new things. We develop new things and new ways of working with them. But it's really good that sort of we've been able to work alongside each other, I guess, to sort of benefit each other as we go along.
I think that's what makes everything tick so well with the people we have hired and are hiring. It's like, you know, the role that my mum's going to be stepping into is pretty intense. Like when you get around Christmas and Father's Day and Black Friday weekend with customer service inquiries and customers that need looking after who've got issues with orders and chasing orders. And, you know, my mum comes from quite a high pressure events planning background. So, you know, we already know that she can handle the pressure. She's got the skill sets to pick it up quickly, and you know she's good at dealing with people, whether it's via phone, whether it's via email. So it's quite an exciting time for us, and we think it's going to really kind of grow the team into not just the right people, but also the right mentalities of going forward and growing within the company. And I know it's something that like Rob and Craig really enjoy as well, is that they're growing with us. We're not a small brand in the sense of, you know, we're someone operating from home, but we're also not Gymshark or Amazon, all these huge warehouse people. You know, we're very middle ground at the moment. And I think it's quite an exciting time for anyone, whether they're employed by us or freelancing for us, is that they're part of the growth. You know, our growth is because of their work. So they actually get that acknowledgement and that kind of feeling of achievement. But when stuff's going really well, they're part of that because we're growing and they're growing with us. So yeah, it's just an exciting time, and I have no kind of doubt at the moment that there'll probably be another person hired by the end of the year or the start of next year, because the way things look and the kind of plans we've got in place.
I mean, let's face it, we could probably go and hire another 3 people tomorrow if we could.
Yeah, no, we could do with that, but we
there's
just can't
definitely
afford that at the moment.
Enough work there for that.
It's like the subscription boxes. You know, our plan by the end of the year is probably to have someone hired solely just to look after those, whether it's producing products and packing and so on. So that role will gradually develop into itself. And yeah, it's exciting times regarding hirings. I'm just glad that we're hiring, and you know, you look around and there's so many companies that are making people redundant, and so that, you know, I'm just glad that we're at the opposite end, and that's something that I think Paul and I are both very proud of out of this year and the last 3 months and what's been going on.
Yeah. Before we get on to subscription boxes, because I want to talk about them in a minute, let's talk a bit of football, because currently on my telly box just behind the
Luton
screen,
Town are beating Huddersfield.
Yeah, one of your licensed clubs, Huddersfield.
2 of our licensed clubs.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, 2 of your licensed clubs. So you're quite comfortable.
They're battling it out.
They are battling it out, but to be fair, Huddersfield, based on the last 20 minutes, are a bit hard done to be 2-0 down because they've been fully in the game. But obviously, quite a few of your licensed clubs were heavily involved in the playoffs from the lower leagues, both Oxford and Exeter. Exeter enjoyed a day out at Wembley, but unfortunately, it wasn't to go for them down there. However, Oxford's still in with a chance to go up, potentially.
Another trip to Wembley.
Another trip to Wembley. So, you know, the Terrace have had a good representation at Wembley in these playoffs.
It's been all right. It's a shame there's no fans there.
I spotted you on Sky as well. Shrek, otherwise known as Wayne Rooney, just taking a free kick.
He was, he gave us a lovely little kind of little placement of our banner at Preston. It was we put that we sorted that banner at Preston kind of shortly after we did a deal with them, and we ummed and ahed over it, and we thought, you know, it'd be good because fans, obviously, typically, we wouldn't take banners or advertising at stadiums because whether it might just be my kind of personal opinion on them is that I don't.
No, it's mine as well.
Yeah, I just don't think they work. When I go to football, I don't look at an advertising hoarding and go, oh, tonight I'm going to go and check whether I can get a better car insurance deal from them. Like, that's not how people's minds work at sport games. But we decided to do it on the basis that no fans were allowed inside the ground. So with such a heavy presence going into the iFollow to watch the games, based on where the cameras are, there'd be quite a lot of dominance kind of, even if it's just seeing our club logo, it's good for brand awareness. And then I think I was watching it, but I wasn't really paying much attention. It wasn't until you sent the WhatsApp, Gary, of like the perfect shot on the telly of Rooney after taking the free kick with our huge banner next to him. Yeah, it was quite nice to see. And I think it was the same, you know, Exeter were great as well. They gave us some digital advertising that they have on file for us for the playoff game on Sky. I literally turned the telly on to watch the game, and there it was. They were running down the wing, and our logos were scrolling down the sides of the screen. So, it's cool to see. Like, these things don't come cheap. We're lucky that we've got such a good relationship with Exeter that they wanted to continue to use that to promote our relationship and the products that we've got with their club store. The Preston banner, obviously, we came to an agreement and did that. But, since we've done that, every club under the sun, all the advertising agencies are just constantly battering my inbox trying to get me to buy advertising. I'm just, it has to be right. And it's one of them things where it has to be with one of our licensed clubs. It has to be relevant and it has to be personal to the club. So it's nice to see. It's kind of cool turning on Sky Sports and seeing it. Kind of,
yeah, absolutely. And
since a different level.
And since last time we spoke and drank beer together, like we are doing tonight, it's a bit like a catch-up, this, isn't it?
Hey, Carl, are we drinking the exact same cup?
You are, yeah. I wonder if we're like in separate rooms in the same house when you're both drinking the same thing.
We're on the opposite side of the table. Give me a high five.
Hey, wait there. Give me a high five. I pass you one.
Oh. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, nice, like it.
That was so nice.
So, since we were last together, you bought a football club. Well, you haven't, but you've kitted out a full club in what is now.
Yes, of course.
It's now my second team, Bunbury Town.
Yeah, United. That was a
United.
Jesus, Gary.
Of course,
you can't bring yourself to say United, can you?
No.
We did discuss it on the last podcast, but obviously we couldn't really talk about it. But yeah, so basically we did a kit supply deal to Bunbury United, which is my hometown's team, who are, I'm not sure what step they are, but they're a couple below the conference, I believe. And yeah, we covered it when we announced it and stuff. It's a real personal one for me. I played for Bunbury United, believe it or not, as a kid. And then my memories of growing up of my late grandparents is that when I used to go round there at weekends, my grandparents used to wash the Bunbury United first team kits for the team. So I'd go around to my grandparents on a Saturday and, my gran was loading washing machines full of Bunbury United kits and drying them, ironing them, getting them all folded, ready for the matches after the games and stuff. And it was kind of like, yeah, when this opportunity came about through Mark and through Phil, we had a meeting with them and it was a really positive meeting and they were kind of really excited by the fact they could have a bespoke kit because they've always had just off the shelf. And it was really nice just to be able to I did 4 or 5 concepts for each, home and away. And they put it to the fans basically and the fans voted which kit they wanted. The fans had their say and the samples of all the kits arrive on Monday. So it's kind of been quite a quick turnaround. And yeah, it's just an exciting prospect, like to be able to give back to my hometown club. We're also sponsoring their floodlights for 2 seasons, so we'll have Terrace banners all up their floodlights, and it's like one big deal basically that has definitely created some avenues of discussion regarding what's next after Bunbury United. Because not after as in when they go, because we plan to be supplying to Bunbury United for very long term, because they like the concept that their kit is provided by a company local as well. It's very big for them. But announcing that deal has sparked discussions with an EFL club regarding kit supply. So I won't go down any further details, but it was definitely, it's not something we were expecting. And so yeah, we'll see where that goes. It won't be for this season, it'll be for the season after. There's a lot of meetings and a lot of talks to be had and pricing and discussions and so on. But yeah, it's an exciting part of the business now. Hopefully it'll just keep knocking on. We've got 2 other teams outside of the EFL that have also approached us about kit supply. So again, that could probably potentially start the end of next season, be another hire for someone to handle all of that, because I don't like us being spread so thin over such big projects. So yeah, the Bunbury United deal went down really well, and the fans were just so receptive to it, and I think they were just as excited as we were. It's a big deal for a club of their kind of size to have bespoke kits that they voted on with custom designs and everything. So yeah, it'll be a really good season.
It's cool for the fans though. Like being involved in the actual
100%
choice, because obviously we put up, was it 3 or 4 of each, home and away?
4 of each, 5 home, 4 away.
Yeah, and fans basically got to choose which kit that they wanted. And so you can't really ask for something more, I guess, as a fan, as actually being involved in the process of which one of these do I want to see the team wearing. So I think that's a really exciting point for us.
And Gary, we get, as sponsors, we get a couple of season tickets that me and Craig will be using. And we also get sponsorship of 1 game a season. And for that game a season, we get 10 tickets. So guess who's coming down to watch Bunbury United in that game?
And do you know what's even better? Craig is going to be a mascot walking out with a team.
Yes.
If we can arrange it.
Well, got to find him the shortest first team player. Did anybody ever see the image of Aaron Lennon walking out with
the mascot
who was about 4 inches taller than Aaron Lennon?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Holding hands as well.
By the way, yeah, so good. So yeah, that'll be a class. Yeah, but no, really good. To kind of give something back to a team that means something to you.
100%, yeah.
So again, segues is on lovely to the new subscription boxes, which I'll be honest, I've had to beat my son off with a stick ever since you guys announced it, because he's like, can I have one? 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 And we've had to draw the line because he also wants a UFC action figure. So we've managed to bribe him with the if you get a good school report, you can have nothing.
You can get some coal.
But yeah, you can have some coal, and then as a pastime, you can paint it white and then scrub it back black for an hour. But so just talk to us, for those who may not know because they've lived in a cave, for the 10 people that are watching live, which is great. Get your comments in if you've got any. The subscription boxes, then just tell us about it, where the idea came from, and what they kind of consist of.
We've kind of been discussing it for over a year now.
Years, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just been a case of sounds stupid, of just doing it, like, because we've discussed it for a year now, and it's been like, sure, we should try and do this. Maybe we could do this, or what about if we did this? And I said to Paul at one point, I said, we just got to do something, like, and then it'll develop and it'll grow. And so I came up with 2 tier ideas, with like kind of 2 different price points, so it kind of was approachable to everyone basically. And I said we launched it. Long story short, we launched it, and I said to Paul, I want 20 subscribers. And within 2 weeks, we'd got 220 subscribers. So we weren't ready for kind of like the uptake that there was. But again, like true Terrace fashion, all hands on deck. Rob and Craig pulled it out of the bag, and we were there packing boxes, printing products, and they were great. The feedback's been amazing. There's a few people that it wasn't what they expected, or they were hoping for more or something different, and that's the joy of it, is like we don't lock anyone in. Like, you can cancel it any time. And one thing I've learned with running the Terrace is, at the start I didn't really understand it, and now I do, that you can't always please everyone, and that's okay.
Took you a while, didn't it, to get over that one?
Yeah, like at the start it was kind of like, oh, this guy said he doesn't like this about the mug, so I'll change it. And then 10 minutes later, it's like, oh, now someone doesn't like it because I've changed it, so I'll offer both versions. And you can't do that. It's it's taking ownership as a brand of, this is our product, this is what we are putting out. And if you don't like it, that's completely fine. Like, we're not offended. We hope that you're not disappointed, but you don't have to like everything. But the 98% of the feedback has blown me away. Like, people are just, and this is what I think it's given me a little bit of reassurance that not the power, but the kind of the connectivity between our brand and our customers. We took a punt and we were like, right, first box, everyone gets black t-shirt, gold metallic Terrace print, and we want people to wear that with pride. We want them to wear the Terrace brand like you are right now. And it's a case of, with the subscription boxes, we want to offer unique kind of products that people can't buy online revolving around their club, but also give them quality products from the Terrace that are the Terrace brand, because it is a football lifestyle box. It's not just, here's loads and loads of products with your club stuff on, because we will run out after 6 months. Like, we can't go on forever, and we've planned the next box. We signed off I sent Paul what was being in the next box earlier. So the next box is all signed off of what we're going to do. And now it's connecting all the dots to make that a reality, really. So there'll be some orders placed on Monday, start printing products. And it's a weird thing because the payments for the subscription boxes go through on the 1st of every month. And the box is shipped by the 7th. So we don't actually know exactly what we've got to ship out until the 1st when the payments go through. Because we could have 10,000 subscribers right now, and I could go and print products for all of those 10,000 people and all the clubs they support, and so they're all happy. And then on the last day of the month, before the payments process, 5,000 of them could go and unsubscribe.
Or the payment just declines. Or
the payment declines, or anything. So we have a very small window between payment processing and shipping. So we've worked some methods out to be ahead of ourselves, and next month's box is going to be incredible. Like the premium box especially, I'm like really stoked for it. And like, I think they're paying £25 for a premium box, and retail value in next month's box is probably 50, 60 quid. So I'm expecting a lot of happy people. It's been it's been really popular. Really popular.
Good. We've got a bit of feedback in the comments, actually. Jack Glennie, who is quite well known to me, he says, can't wait for the next one. And he's also said, nothing to be worried about, best in the business.
Can I also say, Jack, I did get your email. I haven't read it yet, but I will reply to you shortly.
Jack,
he emailed me about 5 minutes after I started doing something, and I can see, because I've got this thing where like I don't read emails unless I'm dealing with it there and then, because I just forget about it, and I'm like, it's looking at me right now.
Jack, the best thing I find just to keep Paul on his toes is just to text him on like a Friday night at 10:30 and say, I've ordered the wrong shit. Can you sort me out?
Yeah, that's typical Gary.
To sort it out.
Oh, I didn't change the address.
No, I did though. Apple Pay, wankers.
No, do you know what the worst bit was? Gary texted me and I went, yeah, send me an email, mate. I'll sort it on Monday morning. And then he emails me, rings me going, or message me, whatever, going, yeah, I've just got an email to say it's on the way, but it's got the old address on. I was like, shit, I completely forgot to sort that out. We managed to fix it, though.
Yeah, we fixed it, and I'm wearing the fix. But I kind of feel like I need to flesh this story out. So, it's a long one, bear in there. So we ran a competition from our podcast, and I bought a mug to send to the competition winner. So when I purchased it, I put in the delivery address to this gentleman who won the mug to his address. Thought, sweet, happy days. Then I came to order myself a hoodie because I like to support the guys at the Terrace. So for anybody who keeps mocking me on social media saying I get everything for nothing, I don't. I purchased this.
We didn't offer it in for nothing. We literally stop
buying stuff.
Cool. It's a support thing, isn't it? Anyway, so I then come to buy this, and I changed it back to, Democratic Republic of Barnsleyshire, and then I've got the bloody. I went through the thumb face fucking recognition thing, and then the email said it will go into this other dude's house. I was like, bastard. So very similar to something you mentioned earlier, Paul. I am one of the people that I will forget. I have to deal with it there and then, otherwise I'll forget. And that's why I realised after I text you at 9:45 on a Friday night, thinking probably not the best time, Gary, to text at this time, but I needed to do it, otherwise I'd have forgot. And then when Nathan in Mansfield goes, nice one for hoodie, lads, cheers, I'm like, so that's the kind of the story fleshed out a little bit.
He'll be saying, Gary, can you order me another one though, because it doesn't fit.
Yeah, it's a bit baggy on me, this one. Just a reminder, I need to lose a little bit of weight, by the way. Anyway, other comments. Matt Hand, up the Rams, very random, but thank you all the same. We'll take that one, definitely. So yeah, subscription box is going well. I might have to, give in at some point and sign it up, because he's doing my head in, if I'm really honest. My son's at that age now where we're just starting to tempt him. We're going to shop because he's going to high school soon. So it's like we live 2 yards away from Asda, and literally he will not go to the shop without wearing his Terrace face mask. Literally for anything, like, Judd, you're going for some milk, mate. It's like you don't even have to go near anybody. No,
get your mask on.
Got to wear it. So yeah. So anyway, we've just booked a holiday to Edinburgh. Random, I know, but Yeah, we booked holidays to Edinburgh, so the Terrace face mask will be getting repped on public transport up in Edinburgh by me and Judd. His mum and his sister will have to put a sock in the mouth or something. I don't know, because we ain't got them on, but hey ho, they'll get over it.
We've got a couple spare we can send you. Don't we?
Oh, that'd be very kind of you if you could do that. So,
tenner.
I'll send you an invoice.
£25, please. So then, have we got any other exclusives, irons in the fire that we can tempt people with without giving too much away?
I'm talking to 2 clubs at the moment, both EFL. I can't say who because I'm not signed a deal with them yet.
EFL on the verge of joining the Premier League?
No, it's not West Brom.
No.
What?
It's not West Brom or Brentford.
Yeah, hey, steady now. Steady. I got very drunk last night. I feel like it's getting closer.
Leeds, do you know what I've realised? And it's going to sound really, really bad, and people might not like this, but I think I'm going to have to start muting the word Leeds on match day because it's.
Oh yeah,
I genuinely.
Twitter is mental.
I've never seen anything like it. Win or lose, it's mental.
It's mental.
Someone last night was having to go at someone else because they. It was almost like people were, when you were losing, were just losing their minds. And last night they were questioning who's the bigger Leeds fan. And I was just like, can everyone not just be happy that you've just pumped? Can everyone not just be happy that you've just absolutely pumped Stoke? Probably been in the best position you've been in as a club in the last 15, 16 years. And you're about to go up. There's no need for this. This
lads,
negativity.
Welcome to Leeds Twitter. That's just it. I mean,
Gary, where are you going to finish? Top or second?
Top. I'm a very honest and balanced Leeds fan, and at this very moment in time, I don't want to make that prediction because it can still go wrong.
You can't be bothered with Twitter.
we can still do a Leeds. However, we're in probably the best position we're ever going to be in to win it.
I think you'll win all 4 games.
I
Yeah,
think you would as well.
I genuinely think after last night, I think you'll win them comfortably.
I can't see it slipping now.
But also, I've got one other point. Can you 2 stop being so good at Raggy's Predictor? Because you're killing me on our podcast, by the way.
No, Paul doesn't know nothing about that.
I'm in second. And you lot are romping away. Well, stop it. Stop it, Carl. Start being crap, please. You're killing me.
It's only because I'm not biased. So during the season, I've not been afraid to predict when you're going to lose.
So when I've been going 14-0 every week,
I mean, you're going to lose 2-1.
Yeah, that explains a lot, to be honest. Kay Dobbo's come back on and says, top, she thinks Leeds are going to finish top. I don't want to turn this into a Leeds podcast, but yeah, if ever there was an opportunity to do it, this is it. And there'll not be many people in the Democratic Republic share of Barnsley happy about the fact, apart from me and my son. And probably my wife, because then she'll not have to worry about speaking to me at 5 o'clock on a Saturday if we've got beat.
You'll be like, there's a fellow who lives up the road from
I know you don't want
to. When Liverpool won the title, I drove past his house. He had a 30-foot flag hung from one side of the house to the other. It was like something you'd take on a European away day. And he had a cardboard cutout of Jurgen Klopp on his doorstep.
Yes,
in Preston.
Love it,
Gary. I know you don't want to make it a Leeds podcast, but I'd love to ask you. Should you go up?
Mm-hmm.
What game are you looking forward to the most?
Obviously,
based on being able to go back to Browns.
There's only one
question. It's a good
There's
question.
Only one game.
It's got a bit scummers at Old Trafford, I think.
Leeds don't have a rivalry with Leeds don't have a rivalry with anyone else, do they? In the Premier League? In the Premier League, you don't, yeah?
No, not in the Prem, really. No. So yeah, it'd have to be scummers at Old Trafford. It'll be one of the moments when, if it happens, that you stand there and think we're finally back after 16 years of torment and hell. But to be honest, mate, do you know something? For me, from my personal point of view, just being able to take my son, because for the last 6-7 years of him following football, I've been saying to him I once saw Real Madrid at Ellen Road. And he's like, no, he didn't. You silly old twat. You've never seen. Zidane, Dad. Zidane has not been at Ellen Road. Shut your face. So it'll just be nice to go to Ellen Road next year and go, oh look, we're playing Liverpool and we're playing City and we're playing Man United and teams like that. We're playing even Chelsea. We're playing Chelsea. It's just been nice just to be back there. And ultimately, for 16 years, we've got what we deserve, because up until last year and this year, we probably haven't deserved to be in the Premier League. You don't get it given to you. You have to earn it, and we haven't earned it. So
it's a fact. It's one of the hardest leagues to get out of. I mean,
I was just about to say though, like, what is harder, Championship or League One?
Well, Gary was saying the other night. I think you posted a tweet that said like Portsmouth are literally never going to get out of this league, are they?
League One and League Two, because I think it was funny. We were watching. I can't remember who I was with, but we were watching. I think it might have been like the League Two playoffs or something, and it's like you notice how more aggressive the football is. Like it's slower paced and it's a lot more physical and stuff. And I think it's just as you get lower down the leagues, I think League One, League Two are hard. Once a team gets there, it is a nightmare to get back up unless you are pumping millions in.
Yeah, but even teams that are doing that,
it don't matter.
It's like you look at Sunderland and Ipswich. Like, not saying that they pump millions. I don't know what they've spent, but Sunderland and Ipswich, they're down to League One, and it's not a straight bounce back up.
Do you know what one of the biggest problems? The biggest problems with League One is that for big clubs that fall down there, like Ipswich, like Sunderland, like we did, like Portsmouth, you suddenly become everybody's cup final week in, week out. And teams just raise the game against you, and like, we were on the receiving end of some like absolute backs to the wall performances down in League One. But I think from League One to the Championship is just such an intense league. Saturday, Tuesday.
But also, Championship is just full of teams that should be in the Premier League.
Absolutely.
Were in the Premier League, or it's not like when you get down to League One, League Two. With the utmost respect, there's a dominance of teams that have spent quite a while in League One and League Two, and that's where they've kind of found their place. And then you'll suddenly get a burst from X team, Y team, Z team each season, and suddenly they're going back up and stuff. But I think it's great that Coventry are going back up to the Championship. And stuff. But how long's that been in the offing for? Like when I grew up with Coventry in the Premier League. Now seeing them go back up to the Championship, and I think with the Championship though, it's not full of those kind of teams. It's full of teams that have come down from the Premier League and stuck there.
But I think it shows
all Premier League teams.
But I think it shows you as well. It's like if you just look at the teams that go up from the Championship to the Premier League, how many of them have actually stayed up? Like,
not many. Sheffield United have obviously done it recently.
Sheffield United,
Wolves, yeah. Like, but again, Wolves ploughed an absolute. Ruben Neves had no business playing in the Championship.
Yeah,
by far the best player I've seen in the Championship. He was
goal that we discussed on the last podcast.
Stupid,
filthy.
The other issue with the Championship is the fact that so many clubs have got parachute payments. The disparity in cash flow for like your teams like Barnsley, Luton, obviously two of your licensed clubs, as opposed to Fulham. Even Stoke has still got a bit of parachute payments. Teams like Huddersfield, which absolutely pains me to say because they hate us, despite the fact I don't really hate them. That's why their achievement of getting promoted was such a big one because they did it with no parachute payments. And if we do it this year, it'll be with no parachute payments. So, there's the other issue with the Championship as well.
Yeah, no, of course. I think it's just, you look at the Championship table on day one of the season and, everyone, the bookies will have their favourites of who's going to go up. And it's all based on your three favourites to go up are the three that have come down.
Yeah.
And you're doing it just because they've got parachute payments.
Yeah.
And they're probably the biggest teams in the league because they've just come down. But if you put it on paper and you look at them and you read the team names out, we're starting to hit a point with the Championship where it's just like a Premier League B League.
Yeah, it's the same teams going up.
Yeah, it's the same teams going up and down every season. It's just like
how many times have like West Brom and Cardiff and what have you gone up and back down again? And I think the funny thing as well is it's like I think when we looked at the Championship table just before the restart, wasn't there like 8 teams in with a shout at the playoffs within like 3 points? Like that gulf between like there's not really a big difference between third place and the teams that are sort of 11th and 12th. And I think as
well, that break, I mean, it's an obvious thing to say that the break for lockdown really did make or break some teams.
Well, I think it did Leeds a favour. I mean, I know people will probably think it's ridiculous, but it did every team a favour, obviously. But
But
Leeds,
then again, at
with...
the same time, you look at a team like Sheffield United, and they've dipped off a little bit now after the break. But before the break, they were so strong in the Premier League, and it's, I think, Wolves and Sheffield United, especially in the Premier League, like to go up and just hold their own like that is phenomenal, I think.
The thing with Leeds is, though, obviously this is not a Leeds podcast, you can say like what you like, but like the fact of the matter is that like Leeds play at such a high tempo that it's. I can imagine it being physically exhausting playing for Bielsa, because he literally asks so much of the players that having that sort of break to get some recuperation in then probably allowed them to go as well as they did earlier in the season.
Yeah, I think the other thing for us as well is that, I agree with that, but I also think it killed us momentum. We'd won 5 straight games before the lockdown. And we were absolutely flying. We battered Huddersfield at Ellen Road, and we looked, to be honest, like we did last night. We looked dominant against teams, and then we came back and we were a bit sluggish in the early games, certainly against Luton and Cardiff, but we seem to have found it again. But anyway, let's get off the Leeds topic because people will start complaining, which is a fair comment. We've got some more feedback in the comments. Lee G, love the subscription box today, guys. Loud Drop badge and Jers away kit mug went down a treat.
That Loud Drop badge, I loved printing that. When it came out, we printed it in the office, and even Craig was like, that looks incredible.
And it takes a lot to impress Craig.
that Loud Drop artwork is just so nice. It's like an illustration we had done of Loud Drop, and on the pin badge it looked really good. So yeah, we're glad you're happy with it as well.
Lee's back in as well. He says, also, I'm turning my garage into a bar this month, so the beer mats were also very timely.
We'll try and throw some more in for you.
Also, on the subject of PNE Chris earlier talking about the Oasis mug, he was actually talking about the Gabby Wood.
Gabby Wood.
Nice.
Talented girl, by the way.
She is insanely talented.
Yeah. I've been spontaneously following her and unfollowing her on Twitter for ages to try and get her to follow me back, but she hasn't done it yet. So if you're listening,
just to note as well that
not follow me back.
This last kind of fortnight, we've had some really cool kind of like collaborative releases at the Terrace. Like, we really take pride in being able to give illustrators and artists and football brands a platform to sell products on. Like, we can connect the dots and turn the cogs and turn their artwork into mugs and phone cases and all this stuff. You know, like Burley Banksy, Matthew Wood illustrations, Grady especially, and being able to now take on some new faces and stuff is quite exciting for us. And like I said, Gavi's collection is now available on mugs on our website, and they look phenomenal. There was an order for quite a few of them straight off the bat of announcement, and we printed them. They looked amazing. And also notably, we launched the Mundial range, which is one that I was really excited about. So I'm a big fan of the Mundial guys. Like, that football brand is just something else. Like, the things they do, that their writing, their stories, their artwork, everything is just so out of the box and so well thought. And it was like a really proud moment for us that they approached us to discuss being able to put their branding onto products and sell like an official collection. And we do actually have the end of this week, start of next week, an official collection launching for another brand as such, which will be revealed, which the artwor's just phenomenal. And that's a thanks to Grady, who helped us with that.
I almost just said something then that would have 100% given
that's a really exciting project for us.
I nearly shouted something very loud.
Again, really good.
I'll be honest with Grady. He's like made my little shitty podcasting career dreams come true, because every morning I go to get a coffee and I take the Al Siddy mug out of the cupboard and I put it under the coffee machine. I think that's
another update that also involves Grady is in about, I want to say 7 to 14 days.
I would 14 to
21 days. We will be taking delivery of 20,000 Terrace mailer bags, and every person's delivery will now be coming out in a mailing bag. So if you think of your ASOS, your Wearin, your whoever, their other brands are available. You have mailing bags,
but not Boohoo.
We had I've wanted mailing bags for quite some time, and Paul got some kind of size samples from a company, and we picked a size. We got the price point right, and I feel like it adds a finishing touch to the delivery. We literally had like a 3-hour meeting in the office that was mostly taken up by this, and where I was sat on the fences. Gary, you've received a mug from us. It comes in a shipping box, in a poly box inside. It's all protected, nice and safe. And we put the address label on the box. Now, if you want to give that to your son for his birthday, you can't wrap that box because it's got an address label on it. So it's not great. So what we're going to be doing is now every delivery, unless you order like 10 mugs because it won't fit in the bag, every normal delivery will go into a mailing bag and the address label goes onto the mailing bag. The reason I wanted to go on to this is because, one, it's a huge step for us because it ups the branding and it takes us to that next level of a retail company. But I had a vision for the mailing bag of what I wanted it to look like. So I didn't want, the original conversation was, we'll just get a bag and step and repeat Terrace logos all over it. Brand awareness, it'll be great. But I kind of wanted to do something a little different. So I had this image in my head. Like, I could see it, but no one else could, of what I wanted it to look like. And
it's not unusual.
I said to the guys, I want the mailing bag to be a product in itself. I want people to fold it up and put it in a drawer and keep it because it's so unique. So I'm not going to say what it is. You'll have to wait until they're shipped out, and you'll have to order another mug, Gary, and you'll see it. But basically, I rang Grady and I said, look, I've got this idea. This is my idea. And by God, did he just literally, and because obviously I'm a graphic designer, I could speak to him in that kind of way, and he just got it. He just got it instantly. And he drew it. It took him a couple of days. He drew it all up. And these mailing bags are phenomenal. Like, I literally cut this. The thing I'm most excited about this year. Just can't wait to take the delivery of them.
I'd actually forgotten that they were coming.
It's been ages. I want them now.
No, well, it's been a week. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, so they'll be here soon. So yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Matt Hind in the comments just having a little dig at me, so I like Chelsea then. In a painful twist of fate, my dad kind of follows Chelsea, which I'm not sure how that works, but anyway, yeah.
Grounds for divorce.
There are a few other comments from some suspects called Craig and Rob about attendees at the Christmas party. But I'll not put them on the screen and I'll leave them out because there's a line, gents. There's a line. Yeah. So
Gary's invited to the Christmas.
Yeah,
party.
I know
I'm
exactly.
coming. I'm telling you, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Christmas party. I'm coming.
We're going to this Chinese buffet called A1.
Nice. I'm there.
They shut down. It has shut down.
Basically, there's a story where Carl once said to me, there's this place in Bunbury, it's called A1 Buffet, it's proper good. And I mentioned it in the office, and Craig was like, it's literally the worst restaurant in the town.
It was amazing.
And and then one day, Rob, we were talking, I made the joke about it to Rob, and Rob was like, oh, it's shut down. And we were like, what do you mean it's shut down? So I thought we were going to get away with it. Well, I thought we were going to get away with paying a tenner a head, but now it looks like we're going to have to spend a little bit more money.
I'm there. Name the date. Give me plenty run up so I can book time off work. I'm there. I'm coming to Bunbury. But 2 hours and 23 minutes from the Democratic Republic of Barnsley. So
from Barbados?
From Barnsley to Barbados. Yeah. Spent a bit of time down there actually. I flew from Brize Norton a few times. It's not too far from.
It's literally up the road from us.
Yeah.
There's quite a few RAF bases around there.
Terrible memories of that. I remember taking my missus down. We stayed in Oxford, and it cost us what I feel like was probably about £400 for a night. But I think it was probably more like 170 quid or something.
Bunbury's no different. It's like a town where there's no chain hotels. There's a Premier Inn. There's zero. Like, there's no Hilton, Holiday Inn, Crown Plaza. There's literally nothing like that. It's just B&Bs. There's literally everything's a B&B.
For 700 quid a night.
Well, yeah. 150, 200.
Yeah. Well, we'll give it another 10 minutes. If anybody's got any more comments that they want to get in, want to get asked here, we'll get that doing. But if not, then we'll start looking to wrap this show up. I've got a vested interest in Cardiff City versus Fulham on my telly box. I want Cardiff to do us a favour and just cut Fulham away. But I might be asking for a little bit too much, I feel, on, on that one.
Yeah, I think it might be as well. Is there Cardiff?
No, it's down at the cottage, Craven Cottage.
Okay.
It suspiciously looks more full now than it does when they're allowed fans in. But yeah, that's me having a bit of a dig at Fulham. No, to be fair, Fulham won it. Like, I know a few people have played at Fulham and they say they're a great club, so fair enough. Just on the podcast then, so I spoke to Natasha Thomas, a sponsored player of yours, not so long ago. It was a great conversation. She's a lovely girl. And the one thing that struck me doing some research is her goal scoring record is phenomenal. It's like
ridiculous, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. Like 91 goals in 111 appearances or something along them lines. Like
it's ridiculous, and that's why Natasha's been great to sponsor, and we try to help her out as much as we can.
You got some new boots.
Bought some new boots. Yeah, keep her going for this season, and it was. Before, when we discussed with Ipswich about sponsoring one of their women's players, it was kind of like we had to just kind of go off stats off Google. It was like, oh, these are the options of who you can sponsor. And we were like going down the list. And, I'm sure all the women's players are all as good as each other and stuff. But when you saw Natasha's stats,
it wasn't like a week after she scored a worldie and the video was floating around.
Yeah, she scored a worldie from like the halfway line or something. And we were like, yeah, I think we'll sponsor Natasha because obviously our logo is on the goal gift they use for the player. So we were just like, for value for money, we'll go with Natasha because her goal scoring record is ridiculous. And I'm so glad we did away from the goal scoring. Like, she's been great to work with, and she promotes us online as well and stuff like that. It's real kind of, she tries to give back to us and we try and support her. And it's a great job. I think next season we'll be going down to a game to watch her play, and we'll try and get some signed stuff and give it away and do some promo online. And yeah, we've actually been, since that, we've been approached by a couple of other players. I know Leighton Orient women's player has approached us regarding, she's looking for sponsorship and stuff. And it's something we're looking at. We'll do as much as we can, but at the moment with new staff and stuff, we kind of just have to rein in slightly where we can and just focus on making sure the staff are paid and the bills are paid and everything's ticking over nicely, which it is. But I think Paul's getting fed up of me just spending money, so I have to stop a little bit.
Yeah, so
swings and roundabouts.
If you've not seen the Natasha podcast, go check it out. It's on all podcast providers and on YouTube, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's on YouTube as well.
And we've got a shirt hanging in the reception.
Yeah,
we do. So she actually sent us a signed shirt that was now hanging in our
shirt as well.
Top class.
I think so. Yeah, it's one of her from her personal collection that she kindly gave to us. So.
Good. So last couple of questions then before we knock this show on the head. Matt Hind, will you be doing more Derby County products?
Derby is a funny one because I feel like without licensing with the club, I'm a little stuck on how many more Derby products I can do. There's a couple I'm working on at the moment that will launch soon. And I'm having to now, after that, kind of veer down more fan culture stuff with Derby's chants and kind of more kind of stuff that connects the fans to the club. Because with regarding the kit stuff, is every single kit is plain white. So without the badge on it, if I do a Derby kit mug from most seasons, it is literally just a plain white mug with a Puma logo on it or an Auto Windscreens logo on it. There's, to say, it's not a lack of variety, it's just they're very consistent with a plain white shirt. And that's very much what we had an issue with at Preston. It's their 90. So Fulham was another one. Fulham was one we were really happy to get across the line because you're so restricted when you can't use the club badge that anyone that plays in white, you're stuck with just a plain mug with a sponsor's logo on it and a collar. But the Preston one was, a lot of their memorable kits in the sense of honours and promotions of recent years were plain white kits. So we were kind of having to revert back to the 90s where they had crazier patterns and stuff. And obviously getting that deal across the line allowed us to now introduce the 2010 and, the kits that Preston fans are so kind of like connected with. But more Derby products, I will work on it. There are a couple in motion. And there's some more products we've got to put up for Derby kits that we've already got launched. I know there's a handful of Derby kit mugs online But we can look into kind of launching the phone cases, the towels, and all that stuff for them as well.
Time, isn't it?
It's time. It's just time. It's pure time. Like, I'm finding more of it now, but
for now,
not enough of it. Still not enough of it.
So, last comment for this evening then. Jack Glenn, he says, can you sponsor him to play Warzone? No problem at all.
No, because no one's better than us.
You need to have a KD ratio of at least 7 for every day.
Well, I'm definitely not passing the audition if that's the case.
We actually played. I'm gonna proper like throw him under the bus here, but we played with one of my local Preston fellows by the name of Scott at Terry the Pin on Twitter. We played a round of Warzone with him. He died within about 60 seconds.
That sounds pretty much like my Warzone career, to be fair.
Yeah. I think it's very hard.
We'll guide you.
It's very hard because we're not that we're really, really good, but we're probably better than most noobs. So it's kind of you kind of end up carrying people.
I kind of forget that it's a computer game, and I go back like thinking I'm still in the military. I'll lay down on my belly for a bit and just see what crack is first, and then knife me back ahead. Like fucking nice one.
It has definitely made me realise that I'm like, yeah, I need to be a bit more.
Gary's just throwing the controller across the room, and I'm not this. This isn't realistic.
Yeah, right, load of shit. Sat there, helmet on, cam cream on, with controller.
This just reminded me. I seen a video this morning with Billy Billingham where they make him watch action movies like war movies.
I've seen it.
When he says about Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's like, yeah, that thing he's got on his shoulder launches a nuclear missile. I'm pretty sure that doesn't exist and that he can't do.
In true confessionals, I am terrible for anything like that. Like, I am such a stickler for realism. It's painful. Like, me and my missus have turned so many films on, and like, I don't know, it starts and somebody's shooting from hip, and I'm like, turn it off, bollocks this. Absolute bollocks.
You can't do that. It's not possible.
Nonsense. Yeah, I just can't bring myself. It's got to be realistic. Like, I'm a
grenade. Like you chuck a grenade in a room and someone fires out of a window, and it's
I've got a grenade story for you, and it's a typical film one. So I was training to deploy, and we'd gone to attack a position as you did do, and I got there and I went to pull the pin out of the grenade, and the ring just rounded off and came out, leaving the pin in the grenade. So I just instinctively running a little bit on adrenaline. I'm just going to pull this out with my teeth. I just disintegrated 3 teeth immediately, and the pin stayed in. Like, you've no chance, absolutely zero chance of pulling one out with your thumb or pulling out with your teeth. Forget about it. It's not happening. You'll literally snap all your teeth out. Dead easy.
Not even cross promotion, but if anyone is listening, you should definitely listen to Gary's other podcast, not the Leeds one, because it's
don't listen to that shit.
Not the Leeds one.
Yeah, no one cares about that. But
no, they do.
No, you genuinely should listen to some of the episodes from it. It's called From the Start podcast. Available on all podcasting channels. But I listened to 2 episodes, I think, on my drive to Bunbury a couple of weeks ago. And I listened to the last one, and it was really, really good. We've not really talked about it, have we? Like, I've spoken to you since I spoke that.
Yeah.
It's just some of the stuff that you hear is who was the guy who was defending or was like a bodyguard with TV crews and
Gary Curtis.
Gee, some of the stories are just completely.
Well, so again, just because we're running off on a tangent, like if you don't mind me talking about it on your podcast,
I like a tangent.
Gary Curtis, I'd seen some of his footage on Instagram a few times, and I was like, wow, like this is wild. And anyway, when I came up with this idea, purely inspired by Ross Kemp talking over Billy Billingham, like I looked at him and thought, do you know something? I'm just gonna message it. He followed me on Insta, so I just messaged him and said, look, I'd love to get you on, mate. And like he came on, and there were times during the podcast how I literally stood with my mouth open, going, yeah, that's crazy. That is just crazy. So yeah, like to be honest, every single one of them I've took something away from, thinking, wow, like it's exactly why I started the podcast, really. To listen to some of these stories, like Charlie Goingoltz, the guy who got stabbed during the London Bridge attack, like even like the way that he manages to tell his story of like what he went through with such humility and so humble, like is just absolutely incredible. Thank you very much for the cross promotion, and
I really enjoyed it. And because one of the things I find is I try and listen to a lot of podcasts, but like I don't really like listening to football podcasts that much because sometimes
all they do is talk about Leeds.
No, it's like, I mean, I listen to like Under the Cosh, but like with Under the Cosh, I don't listen like every week. I literally binge it, and I always listen to that Mark Crosley episode. I must have listened to it about 5 times because it's the funniest thing ever. But yeah, it's like I don't really jump into like I tried like is it like Atletico Mints with not really that into it, and I've really struggled to find like podcasts that I like listening to where they're interesting, and to be honest, I don't want to listen to the podcast host talking about, and like the Ross Kemp one was atrocious. Just it constantly interrupting. It's like the guy has literally.
The Peter Crouch one was good.
Peter Crouch was fun. I'm not a fan of. Is it Dom? The guy's called, or who was the guy who used to be on Radio 1?
Chris Stark. Is it Chris Stark?
Yeah, like, but
he's still on now.
Yeah, the Peter Crouch one was pretty cool, but I've not really found many other podcasts that I like listening to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, I got into podcasting from being inspired by listening to podcasters like Joe Rogan and stuff like that. And
I've started listening to some of his recently. I watched the
so good.
Do you know what's really cool one is the Bernie Sanders one?
Oh, I've not listened to that one.
Bernie Sanders one is like crazy good, and I listened to the Dan Bilzerian one just because I was curious about how ridiculous his life's been. And
there's a great one.
You know that one when you listen to you've listened to it, right, Gary?
Yeah. Yes, I have. Dan Bilzerian.
When he talks about like passing through SAS training, bloody
SEALs,
with 2 broken legs.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
of course.
I'm not sure. I mean, there's some. Do you know what? There's some great podcasts out there. This is definitely one of them. But yeah.
Welcome to this week's podcast review.
Yeah, well, we could. Yeah, listen, we just run off on a tangent. It's great, isn't it? But
you think Gary's after a pay rise?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll have one of them. But no, I'm starting series 2 on Tuesday. I've got a really, 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 really interesting dude on Tuesday. He got a bravery.
What time are you ringing me?
Well, 7 o'clock. Is that all right? He got a bravery award in Afghanistan for MMA, and now he's got a massive YouTube channel, and I mean enormous YouTube channel. And that's the only spot I'm giving. Yeah, proper interesting dude. No, and believe it or not, so just before we knock this on, Ed, here's me funny podcast story. I got a phone call the other day at home, and I was like, don't recognise this number. Answered it. It was like, is that Gary Devonport? I'm like, oh yeah, I've got PPI or whatever. And it was like, it was the first British woman in space, Helen Sharman.
Wow.
MBE.
Wait a second, on your house phone?
No, my mobile. And I basically approached her to come on from the start, right? But this is where the conversation gets funnier. She's like, hello, I'm Helen Sharman. And I was like, hello, I contacted you about coming on a podcast. She went, yeah, I received it. I just thought I better give you a call. She's like, yeah, I'm not doing it. I don't like them. Bye then. I was like, sound, thanks for ringing. In a bit.
I bet you were so excited when she said who she was.
I was like, this is going to be amazing for a podcast. First female woman, first British person in space. Not just the first female, the first British. Wow. I was like, I can't wait for the stories. Like, this is going to be, yeah, I'm not doing it. I don't like them. Sound. Thanks.
What did you say?
Cheers, Ellen.
Okay, no worries. Thanks.
I just said, yeah, cheers. Appreciate the call. I mean, like, I've had tons. Like, I've had people like, what are you going to pay me? It's like, fuck no. I don't know.
Hi, Gary. I'm just calling you to let you know you haven't won the lottery this week.
Yeah, it's pretty much one of them. Yeah, one of them. But anyway, at least you had the decency to call me. So, yeah. Anyway, lads, an hour and 23 minutes in, my wife's just entered the room because she's about to begin a night shift from our living room. So it's a good time to knock it on the head. Lads, it's been an absolute pleasure again. Great to catch
always.
Up. Obviously, everybody who's watching, listening to this now knows exactly where they can find you guys on your Twitter handles and all that. But make sure you check out Terrace Craig as well, and
Terrace Rob,
and the rest of the Terrace family on there. And yeah, it's been a pleasure again, lads. Keep doing the great work, and I'll catch you soon. Probably about 10:30 when I've ordered wrong mug or something.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll be waiting.
Yeah. Message Paul.
Will do. So, lads, take it easy.
See you later, mate.
Peace.
Take care.